stories new at 6. Embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is mounting a re-election bid. Henyard made the announcement in a post on her Facebook page.
South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard appears to have lost control of both governments.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard's re-election campaign has a lot of people talking, and not in the way you might think, because of the pricey tickets, her re-election kickoff party, and the ongoing scandals surrounding her tenure in office. In Du, Illinois, Henyard is once again at the epicenter of a political upheaval, and wow. Although her fans continue to support her, her detractors are expressing disapproval of the way she is managing the situation. The issue is this merely the most recent phase of her endeavor to maintain her position of authority? Or is she preparing for a full-scale comeback?
Weeks, Dalton trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard held a public meeting together, but not at Village Hall.
Let's start with the Henyard re-election launch party, which took place on November 16th. If you wanted to attend, you had to be prepared to shell out a substantial sum of money minus $50, to be exact, to gain entry. This was the first time in many weeks that the Dalton trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard attended a public meeting together, but not at Village Hall. Don't you think that's a pretty high price for a small-town mayor running for a second term? We're not talking about a red carpet event or a celebrity gala. This is Dalton of the L, who is struggling due to financial mismanagement, with the deficit that has reportedly blown up to millions under her leadership. What's even more shocking is that the admission fee is $50. It doesn't end there. Oh no, if you truly wanted to help her, you could give her campaign up to $5,000. $5,000. Just take a moment to consider that in a town where people are experiencing the consequences of economic hardship and where companies are purportedly closing because they are unable to meet Henyard's purported request for campaign contributions. $5,000 from her backers for $35. The worst part is that resident supporters couldn't attend the party. This is similar to a tire system that was implemented to prevent most of her supporters from going unless they were prepared to pay at least that amount. If you were feeling especially generous, you could go up to the bronze supporter level. At $150 or $5,000 for a municipal mayor's campaign, or go all the way up to gold sponsor at $500,000. However, the platinum sponsor level demanded an astounding $5,000 payment.
Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now...
There has been a lot of controversy surrounding Tiffany Henyard's time as mayor of Dalton, and the more one looks into the specifics, the more concerning the situation gets. Critics claim that Henyard treats the town like her own. While Dalton struggles with crippling debt, Tom uses its resources to intimidate political opponents in order to finance her extravagant lifestyle and disregard the village's growing financial problems. The Henyard's administration has been beset by allegations of untrustworthy financial management and priorities. The village, which once had a general fund balance of more than $5 million in 2022, is now facing a startling deficit of more than $3 million under her leadership. These numbers alone paint a dismal picture of Dalton's financial situation, but it is the purported misappropriation of public funds that has caught the attention of both locals and watchdogs. Henyard has reportedly spent hundreds of dollars on websites like Wayfair, Amazon, Walgreens, and others by using village credit cards as her personal wallet. Retailers frequently sell to the general public, but the amount and type of transactions present serious concerns. For example, one article details a $43,000 one-day Amazon shopping spree. In a community that is trying to make ends meet, many people suspect that these purchases were more about personal indulgence than municipal necessity because of the enormous size of this expenditure, which defies any reasonable justification as being in the public benefit. Careless spending causes a journey. Critics claim that Henyard has positioned herself as a super mayor or even a dictator, which is far from flattering given her perceived authoritarian style and the misuse of resources. This has caused widespread discontent among residents who feel betrayed by their leadership, and the claims that she uses law enforcement to suppress dissent only serve to increase this frustration and foster a climate of fear and mistrust in the community. the $43,000 Amazon community in illustrating the widening gap between Henyard's actions and the demands of the village she rules, where the people are calling for answers and accountability. Expenditure sticks out as a sign of excess and a lack of financial responsibility. The question still stands as to how long such a governance system can last before Dolton hits a breaking point.
Board meeting because business has not gotten done at 2 previous meetings, so that's some progress there, but this meeting was not without its fair share of tension.
Despite the growing scandals and legal disputes surrounding her administration, Tiffany Henyard is racing ahead with her re-election campaign and shows no signs of slowing down or backing down. In fact, it appears that she is stepping up her efforts to create a larger-than-life persona, which has led to comparisons to reality TV stars because of her lavish makeup, extravagant fashion choices, and constant self-promotion. Since cameras seem to follow her every move, some have even conjectured that she might be filming a reality show. It seems that Henyard sees the mayor's office not as a place to serve the public, but as a stage for her personal drama, complete with a supporting cast of loyalists and an audience enthralled by her antics. While this spectacle may amuse some, the real-life repercussions for the residents of Dolton are far from amusing. The village's declining financial health is one of the most obvious problems with the administration, which has been beset by allegations of financial impropriety and poor management. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was brought in to evaluate Dolton's financial situation, wrote a damning report detailing the drastic drop in the village's general fund since Henyard took office. Prior to that, the general fund had a healthy surplus, but it has since fallen into a startling deficit that has people wondering how and why this severe financial crisis happened. Several red flags were identified in Lightfoot's report, including excessive and poorly documented spending on village credit cards. Receipts were frequently missing or incomplete, making it nearly impossible to determine whether the purchases were genuine municipal expenses or private indulgences masquerading as public spending. Fueled widespread suspicion that Henyard has been putting her own interests ahead of the village's well-being. The extent of the alleged financial mismanagement, which opponents say has left Dolton in financial disaster, is one of the most glaring aspects of this financial mismanagement. The indignation has been heightened by stories of extravagant expenditures on dubious contracts and personal purchases. The credit card used by the village in particular has been subject to. The cumulative effect of these financial practices has been devastating for Dolton, turning what was once a surplus into a crippling deficit that many attribute directly to Henyard's leadership, or, as some argue, her lack thereof. While Henyard continues to campaign for re-election and cultivate her celebrity-like image. However, scrutiny of numerous transactions has raised eyebrows due to their apparent lack of involvement with public needs. Battling the consequences of the choices made by her government, the mayor's emphasis on self-promotion and upholding critical services is being strained. Debts are growing, and trust in local government has been undermined. As Henyard continues her campaign to stay in office, the question of how long this behavior can go on until the locals become irate and demand responsibility because her image as a super mayor has done little to address these urgent challenges. The village she oversees reaches a tipping point. The implications of her leadership are leaving a lasting and unsettling shadow for the residents of Dolton, even while the spotlight may be shining brightly on Henyard.
Henyard's landlord, and she says she came to this Thornton Township meeting Tuesday night hoping to get paid what she says she's owed.
People are furious not only because of the financial mismanagement, but also because Henyard has been accused of using the village's police force as her personal security detail. According to reports, she spent more than $1 million on overtime for police officers who are supposed to pick up her daughter from school and even accompany her on shopping excursions. That's $1 million of taxpayer money spent on protecting one individual while the rest of the village is left to be on their own. At a public meeting, one resident who opposed 10 said, "At best, did we hear any plans about safety with the new police chief? Did we hear anything about guns? No, it's about protecting her. It's not about protecting the village, period. The attorneys aren't about protecting the village. It's about protecting her. This highlights a larger problem that many people have with Henyard's leadership, believing that she is more focused on her own image and power than on the welfare of the community. Speaking of protection, let's talk about the banners that have Henyard's face and her self-proclaimed title of super mayor plastered all over the town. These banners were allegedly put up without the proper approvals, and when the village trustees ordered them to be taken down, Henyard reportedly called the police to stop it. Tonight, in an NBC5 News exclusive, she reportedly called the police when she saw workers removing banners with her picture on them. She even demanded that. The workers who were taking down the placards will now face charges. If that doesn't shout power trip, we don't know what will, but depending on your point of view, things become better or worse. The banner supplier asserts that Henyard administration still owes them close to $20,000, which is accurate to say the least. The village, which is already heavily indebted, is in ruins and cannot even cover the costs of the banners that Henyard insists on keeping up.
Because I'm at wit's end and I fear that.
But you don't have enough common sense to even look. You would rather take our money and pursue your own goals than look us in the eye. And the FBI investigation is still ongoing. Yes, you read correctly. Federal agents are reportedly looking into Henyard's handling of the village's finances and other potential misconduct. They have issued subpoenas and are looking into everything from her spending patterns to her use of public funds for personal expenses. Despite this, Henyard seems unconcerned and is still running her campaign as if nothing is wrong, confident that she will win re-election by a landslide. But the people of Dolton, who are represented by a group of trustees who have been opposing her 10-inch authoritarian rule and are dedicated to cleaning up the mess she has made, trust Jason House, who is challenging Henyard in the upcoming election, has been vocal about the need for change in the village. His fellow trustees have accused Henyard of everything from financial mismanagement to intimidating her political rivals with the police. Trustee Kiana Belcher is among the most vocal opponents of Henyard leadership, and she and the mayor have been at odds since shortly after she started working. Henyard has been charged by Belcher with transforming Dolton into a totalitarian state where everyone who disagrees with her is harassed. Some of her more controversial decisions have even been challenged in court by rivals, such as her appointment of a new police chief, which they say was illegal. We spoke with Tiffany Henyard's landlord, and she told us that she attended this Tuesday night's Thoron Township meeting hoping to get the money she says her sheet is due. She also claims that while she was out of town, Henyard gave the police orders to follow her and issue citations. This is just one example of how Henry employs her power to discipline her opponents, as well as the issue of Henry's personal finances. Henyard's landlord, who used to consider her a friend, said she owes thousands of dollars in back rent and that she and her boyfriend had to change the locks on the property to keep them out. This has only made people more critical of her, with many wondering how she can handle the situation. She and her boyfriend are reportedly facing eviction from their Dolton home because they haven't paid rent in months.
Shift tonight as another board meeting got canceled because of a lack of a quorum.
That came after a disagreement about where to hold the meeting as trustees expressed concerns for their safety.
Tiffany Henyard's financial troubles have become...
When Tiffany Henyard reportedly struggles to pay her own rent, many have questioned her ability to manage the village's finances. The controversy surrounding her personal and professional conduct has sparked heated debates among residents, with one social media commenter summarizing it bluntly. She's trying to raise her rent money that she's months behind on. This sentiment reflects the frustration of many Dolton who believe that Henyard's priorities are skewed towards her personal gain rather than. Despite the growing evidence of her financial mismanagement and accusations of self-interest, Henyard maintains a base of supporters who contend that her detractors are unfairly targeting her. These supporters assert that the ongoing controversies are the result of a coordinated political smear campaign by her rivals to undermine her position. One resident expressed frustration at the village's situation, but defended Henyard, saying there is no way that we can consider Dolton to be a joke. I truly like their dedication to moral beliefs. This claim emphasizes the nuanced nature of public sentiment in Dolton, where Henyard's activities have caused a clear rift between those who perceive her as a self-serving politician and others who believe she has been the victim of political sabotage. The divide has only gotten bigger as more information about Henyard's leadership style and decision-making comes to light. Critics blame her for allegedly misusing taxpayer funds, pointing to reports of lavish spending on village credit cards, parties, and personal indulgences, actions that have been connected to the village's financial problems. Decline, as the general fund went from having a surplus of more than $5 million to having a large deficit during her administration. Residents who once backed Henyard are now doubting her dedication to the community, accusing her of prioritizing her personal finances and image over dealing with the urgent problems facing Dolton. Concerns have been further heightened by the dispute surrounding her overdue rent, as her landlord has filed for eviction and accused Henyard of altering garage codes and locks to evade service. For many, this personal financial instability is a reflection of the larger financial catastrophe that has occurred. Dolton, under her leadership, however, friends of Henyard contend that she has been unjustly maligned and that her achievements, albeit being obscured by scandals, need acknowledgement. They assert that she has encountered unrelenting resistance from political rivals who have seized every chance to weaken her authority. Some residents contend that her detractors have overlooked the difficulties she inherited and that the village's financial difficulties are a result of a more significant systemic problem, and they think that Henyard's audacious and unorthodox approach to governance reflects her resolve to fight for her vision of Dolton's future. She has no control over this. Residents of Dolton are divided about whether Henyard is the problem or the answer, and the ongoing struggle for public opinion has put the town in a state of uncertainty. While Henyard continues to defend herself against accusations and deal with the fallout from her personal and professional controversies, social media and local meetings are turning into a litmus test for faith in leadership and accountability. The village is struggling with issues such as whether Dolton can overcome its financial difficulties and whether its leaders will step up to address the needs of the community. For the time being, the attention is still on Henyard, a divisive character whose actions have. As the election draws near, the stakes in Dolton are higher than ever before. Mayor Tiffany Henyard is at the center of a bitter political and public battle that has been simmering for years, and she is fighting tooth and nail to keep her position while her opponents, including a group of resolute trustees, are doing everything in their power to unseat her. This conflict is more than just a local election, it's a battle for power. High-stakes power battle that has garnered a lot of attention as allegations of financial malfeasance, power abuses, and leadership shortcomings are prevalent. The reign of the narrative Henyards has been marred by crisis after scandal, with detractors citing suspected mishandling of public monies, dubious appointments, and a leadership style that they contend has harmed rather than helped the ailing village. This contentious argument has focused on the village's financial difficulties, with allegations that the Henyard's administration has caused a sharp drop in Dolton's general fund balance, which went from a surplus of more than $5 million in 2022 to a deficit of over $3 million by 2024. Residents' annoyance has been heightened by these financial difficulties, and her opponents have had plenty of opportunity to cast doubt on her leadership abilities and moral character. Her detractors have also charged her with embezzlement, citing reports of lavish parties, expensive purchases, and dubious credit card transactions. Among the accusations are spending $443,000 on Amazon in a single day and throwing an $80,000 block party with well-known artists like Jay Holiday and Keek Wyatt, which detractors claim prioritizes personal image over the community's well-being. Such reports have only fueled the fire, intensifying calls for accountability and casting doubt on her ability to continue leading the village. Meanwhile, the Henyard's administration has been sued and resisted by trustees who say she has overreached her authority by making controversial appointments and other decisions without their consent. This power struggle has turned into a bitter feud, with trustees accusing Henyard of running Dalton like her personal fief and using village resources to consolidate power. The discord has split into public meetings, which have frequently turned into. Despite these difficulties, the situation has been chaotic, and the Illinois Attorney General has even intervened to resolve Open Meetings Act violations because the facilities are too tiny to hold worried individuals. Henyard is steadfast in her position as a fighter against a corrupt system, dismissing her critics as politically motivated adversaries attempting to thwart her progress. Her supporters contend that she is unfairly singled out and that the opposition's relentless attacks are part of a larger attempt to discredit her administration, believing that Henyard's audacious and divisive leadership style reflects. This gap between supporters and critics has made the approaching election into a referendum on Henyard's leadership, with strong feelings on both sides due to her resolve to fight for Dalton's future and carry out her vision for transformation. Stakes are federal investigations allegedly looking into her administration's use of public funds have intensified the scrutiny of an already divisive political environment. These investigations have generated a lot of conjecture and question whether Henyard's leadership can handle the increasing pressure, but supporters of the party contend that the opposition is equally responsible for the village's difficulties. The trustees are accused of impeding development and utilizing political ploys to thwart Henyard's ideas. They regard her as a leader who has encountered previously unheard of difficulties, and they think her efforts have been overshadowed by persistent criticism. Some even compare her tenacity to that of a reality TV star, noting her penchant for self-promotion and her capacity to command attention in spite of the controversies has left Dalton residents facing a challenging decision. For some, the financial concerns and scandals outweigh any arguments in favor of Henyard, prompting them to demand new leadership to restore steadiness and interpersonal trust. It is clear that this battle is far from over as the election approaches. Whether Henyard can win and silence her detractors or whether her opponents are successful in their attempts to unseat her, it remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. This election will mark a turning point for Dalton in shaping the future of the village and leaving a lasting legacy for whoever emerges. Henyard is a defiant figure who has been unfairly vilified and deserves the chance to finish her vision for the village. Do you think Henyard's costly re-election launch was a success? Party will be enough to earn her another term, or will Dalton citizens finally get a say? Please share your thoughts in the space provided below, remembering that you heard it here first, and stay tuned.